Today on Kicks Chronicles, we chat life and kicks with one of the GOATs of UK sneaker, TikTok, Instagram content creation. I'm talking about the one and only SNEAKERNOMICS, aka Jordan Young, is in the building. We get into the kicks he loved growing up. We get deep into his extensive collection in the EST of KIC, and we discuss his content creation journey from doing sketchy gym pics to now being one of the most beloved UK sneaker content creators in the game. This is Kicks Chronicles. Yes, our people. This sneaker and lifestyle podcast, Kicks Chronicles. I'm your boy PROZECH. Welcome, episode 98. Boy, oh boy, we are cooking with gas. Thank you everyone for being here and everyone that listened to our last episode with Who is Hass. You get me? 2 episodes with Who is Hass. Amazing episodes. If you haven't seen it, make sure to go and watch it. You get me? And once you're done with that, make sure to go and watch my episode on his podcast, My First Kicks, available everywhere you get podcasts. You get me? Today, once again, we have Jordan Young, aka SNEAKERNOMICS, in the building. But before we get to that, we're going to do something very, very quickly. I've got in some shoes. and I want to share them with you. We're doing a little unboxing, right? Really quickly, because I know for those that are listening and are watching, but this is your opportunity. If you are listening and not watching, jump over to YouTube or on Spotify where you can actually watch me unbox these bad boys. You know what? This box that's in my hand, a lot of you are going to know what it is. I'm going to do that one last. We've got 2 shoes to unbox. This first pair, some of you guys are going to recognize it from the box. It's Air Max 1. It's a big bubble, right? Special pair. Came out earlier this year on Air Max Day. Really cool shoe. Wasn't able to cop on Air Max Day. And now looking back, this was actually the only commemorative shoe that Nike have dropped for the community this year. So really important that I copped it, especially because I love Air Max 1s. I was recently on holiday in Italy, saw these in an outlet for, I think, initially 50% off, plus another 30% when we got to the register. Then with the tax and the duty and the tax-free shopping and stuff, ended up being, I think, around £60 for this shoe that I think retailed at about 145 there or thereabouts. Very cool shoe. Absolutely love it. A lot of really nice little details. You can see 326 there, signifying Air Max Day there, man. And it's a nice little blue with the Volt yellow. You get me? A little highlighter yellow on the sole. Very nice little pieces on that. You get me? And I love the price. Very, you know, I love a big bubble. You know, I love an Air Max 1, and for £60 you can't go wrong. Now coming back to this box, right? This shoe dropped literally today on the sneakers app. Literally today. I'm recording this on Saturday. I believe it's the 28th. I'm recording this intro on the 28th. And these dropped, right? You can kind of see it. I'll give you a little flash. These are a shoe, right? It's not a re-release. This is a new shoe, in a way. It's a new colorway, let's say, right? But it's a shoe and a silhouette that's eluded me in the past. I'm talking about the Travis Scott medium olive Jordan 1 low. Really cool shoe. You're gonna already see I've already got involved, man. Pink laces, I did the thing. You get me? This shoe is vibes. This shoe is fire. You get me? For my first Travis Scott, I'm really happy with this because it's a shoe that I can wear. There's been so many. Like, they've had that mad yellow pair that came out for his I think it was for his high school. You've had the Phantoms. You've had Fragments, which are still my number 1 in terms of Jordan 1 lows with Travis. But these are fantastic. These are great. I could really wear them. So it's a really good shoe. They said it was 180,000 pairs. Absolute tosh. There may have been 180,000 pairs produced, but there were not 180,000 pairs available to buy to the public. If you get what I mean. A lot of you have seen the videos, hundreds, if not thousands of pairs have been backdoored, and that was way before bots got involved. You get me? So yeah, Sneakers App today was an absolute myth. It was shegging from before the thing even started. So yeah, really happy to get these. Shout out to Offspring for helping me get these. You get me? Very, very, very cool. £145. Actually, if you consider what we're spending on kicks right now, actually a really decent price as well. So really happy to manage to get these in finally after a long time. You get me? And yeah, I'm gonna get them fragrant, trust me. Getting on to our interview with Jordan, like as I said to you guys before, in the intro, he's literally one of the GOATs, in my opinion, one of the best UK content creators. And I was really happy to see him at the recent Kicks and Coffee event where I was hosting. I was doing a panel. Shout out to Joe and the guys there, and we was able to chop it up on pattern. This interview, he gets into absolutely everything. I'm not going to go over it, but he does drop some amazing gems in terms of his content creation journey. It's really cool to hear from somebody that's really just put a lot of hard work and effort in, to understand sort of what enabled everything to click and just start making sense. He's been in the game 10 years. 10 years. I've been watching him for years. I didn't realize it had been that long though. And for a lot of that time, it just wasn't hitting. And it's just recently just started hitting off. Plus, he's got an amazing work ethic. I recently found out on YouTube over nearly 1,300 videos. Over 1,300 videos on YouTube. I've been on YouTube longer than him, and he has nearly doubled the amount of videos that I have. Like, so the work ethic is wild. You get me? So yeah, he just talks a little bit about that. And yeah, man, we get into his collection in the EST as well. Super interview, part one of a two-parter, because you know I like to get, I don't like to say hold these guys up when they're chatting. You get me, man? And I like to chat a little bit myself, so I'm not gonna blame him entirely. You get me, man? But yeah, it's a vibe. It was a vibe. Yeah. So next part is gonna come out, and that's gonna be episode 99. And just for those guys that are watching, Kicks Chronicles 100 is about to be a banger. Respectfully, we're about to do the thing. You get me? And it's not just going to be about a good guest. We've got an amazing guest, in fact. We're going to do something for the community as well. I promise you. We've got something coming. We've got something cooking for the community. For the community, if I can say it. Just let me cook. Just let me cook. I'm going to do my thing. You get me? But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all of that great stuff. Leave the 5-star reviews. We need that. You get me? We're cooking. We're rolling. We need the support. You get me? And share as well. You get me? With all of that being said, I'm your boy PROZECH. This is Kicks Chronicles, and today our guest for this weekend next is the amazing, the infamous, the hilarious, the gracious Jordan Young, aka SNEAKERNOMICS, is in the building. Enjoy. Yes, my people. We are back again. You already know what it is, man. Kicks Chronicles, and I'm here with somebody, right, that you should already know. You should already know, because the guy's active and he's outside. He's been doing his thing, right, for a very long time. Yeah, giving us a lot of laughs, amazing skits. Like all I'm saying here, right, in terms of UK sneaker culture, this guy and content creation, yeah, this guy's up there, bro. I want to say he's goated, you get me, but I think it might sound a little extra. I don't know what else he'd need to do to get to that status, but he's fully there, bro. And whether it's like super informative bits about sneaker culture, informative bits about drops, or just like super funny skits, bro, the guy's been doing his thing, and it's been absolutely amazing. I'm talking about the one and only SNEAKERNOMICS is in the building. Jordan Young, broski. What? You get me? I love it, man. What's kicking, Bo?
Hello, thanks for having me, bro. It's wicked to finally get together and chat. Thanks for having us on Kicks Chronicles, and yeah, shout out to everyone out there watching and listening. It's a real pleasure.
I appreciate you, bro, man. It's an absolute pleasure having you, man. Like, honestly, and we'll get into this a little bit later when we start talking about your content, but yeah, this is an absolute honor. I have to be honest, yeah. I've been watching your content for years, and like, I feel like I'm your demographic, respectfully. I feel like I'm that guy. You get me? I'm slightly older. I don't know if you can tell by the grays in the beard, but like, the comedy, it just hits like in a different way for me, man. And we just talking about some of the silly things that we as a culture we partake in, we get involved in. It happens and we're like, why does this happen to us? And we're all adults and we still look at these things and live by these rules for some reason. But yeah, it really, really hits. Plus, I've always been a massive fan of like the New Zealand culture and the New Zealand type of comedy. Flat Chronicles is one of my favorite comedies growing up. So yeah, man, it's definitely a vibe. It's definitely a vibe, man. So shout out to you, bro. I don't know if you had an opportunity to leave the house today, but if you did, what did you have on feet?
Yeah, I was outside today. It rains. Oh, bro, it rains probably about a dozen times today, like on and off. So I actually had about 3 different pairs on. I had some Air Jordan 1 lows on, the year of the Dragons, this year's early release. Just a green pair. Yeah, kicked around in those for a little bit, just did a little errands. And then was out for a run. So I rocked some Mizuno Wave Rider Betas, which is a really nice casual / running shoe that I've been smashing up recently. And then I had some Uggs on at one point as well. I have the Ugg, what are they called? It's like the hybrid Tasman all-weather shoe.
Yeah,
the Tasman hybrid. So it's like
Tasman.
it's like a slipper that's been modified to wear in all conditions. So I had them
winterized and vulcanized and all of that sort of jazz.
Yeah. So like that's kind of like how it works for me with the regular rotation. I've got like a running shoe, and then just like a casual kick around type shoe to take the dogs out for a quick walk, and then maybe. So I've actually probably got about 10 pairs of shoes by the door. Like getting into the house can be a bit of a mission, like sometimes, depending on how I've like kicked the shoes off. Because my missus has got a few pairs down there as well. So yeah, that's a little breakdown of today's on foot action.
No, we like that. I was at the house today. I had to go into the city to meet my missus. Shout out to the missus. And I had the Air Max 1 George Greens on.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, a big fan of the George Green. It just fits my color palette. I usually wear sort of navies. You get me, like, and I've kept the George Green sort of mode going with my style here with the green hat as well. So yeah, big fan of the George Green, broski. What we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take it right back to the beginning, bro. This is what we want to hear. This is what we want to know, man.
Okay.
Talk to us about that shoe that caused you, big old Sneakernomics, to fall in love. You get me, with Kicks. What was that shoe that said to you, you've got to have me?
Yeah. You mean like as a kid?
As a kid.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of context. So I'm from Aotearoa, from New Zealand. I grew up all over New Zealand, Wellington, Gisborne, Te Tairawhiti, the East Coast, Whangarei in the far north. And like in New Zealand, the culture is very much influenced by a lot of American culture, a lot of UK culture. So big fans of basketball shoes, big fan of like, football aesthetic and stuff like that, but mainly like basketball shoes. So for me growing up, like the first shoe I can remember being really impressed by and really obsessed over was the Converse Aero Jam, which is like a shoe that Larry Johnson used to wear.
Absolutely.
This was in the time of like starter jackets and starter hats, and the Charlotte Hornets was like the coolest team with the coolest colorway. And so Larry Johnson, by extension, was like the man. I mean, he was also a legend on the court as well, like
fully.
Really legendary player. So he had a shoe called the Converse Aero Jam, and they had these colors that were sort of like almost like Jordan 5 grape inspired. Black colorway, white colorway. I remember never owning a pair, but always wanting to own a pair and being really jealous of the kids at my school that used to have those. So that was one pair that really kind of got me thinking, man, like those are cool. I'd love to have those. And the other was the Reebok Pump.
Makes a lot of sense.
Pump technology, pumping it up, D Brown, the early high top Reeboks. It's so ironically enough, like the shoes that actually made me fall in love with sneakers weren't like actually Nikes or Jordans. It was other high top basketball shoes that were huge in the 90s, like Reeboks and Converse.
No, I absolutely love that. When you were talking, it reminded me of a previous guest. Shout out to Kieran Coyle from the Urban Syndicate. He's also a writer and a journalist, and he does his own thing in terms of sneaker content. But he's from Australia, and the shoe that caused him to fall in love was the Aerojam as well. Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly the same shoe, man. And I think it just like speaks of probably that era. I love Laurie Johnson. I thought he was a big dude, but he was slick with it as well. Like
Yeah.
he had the moves like in the post, like he was definitely doing this thing. I even remember there was one time where he didn't have a shape up and he looked like a madman. It was just that one. I mean, it was like a one game when he didn't have a shape, because I feel like he owned a barbershop because his shape up was so slick. But yeah, Larry Johnson was the guy, and I'm a Reebok guy. It's funny that you say like it wasn't a Nike shoe that really caused you to fall in love, because that was a similar sort of thing with me. It was Reebok that got me to fall in love with shoes as well. So I really do love that. But you did allude to something. You alluded to the fact that you grew up obviously in New Zealand, all around New Zealand. Like growing up, going back in your mind's eye, what were the shoes that were on people's feet? What were the other sort of shoes that were quite popular around those times?
Yeah, like I remember Charles Barkley's early Nikes, like they were really popular. British Knights was another
Shout out to
brand
British
that
Knights as
was
well.
that was pretty big. Growing up in the 90s, we had a brand called Lynx, which is a sports shoe brand. I don't know if you've heard of, but they were
No.
pretty big. Reebok Classics, obviously they were pretty cool. Although I do remember asking, because my family on my father's side are from the UK. My dad's Scottish. And I remember when I was a kid, my uncle and auntie came over to the UK and they asked if we wanted them to bring us anything back from their trip. And I was like, oh, can you please bring me back some really cool shoes? And they brought back these Reebok trainers. I remember getting them thinking, bro, these are dead, man. Like, how did you? And they thought they'd done me a real solid. They were like, yeah, we've got you these. These are what everyone in London's wearing. These are the Reebok classics. You should love these. And I was like, bro, these look like they came out 20 years ago or something like that. So I remember being a little bit disappointed by that. But yeah, it was Jordans obviously were pretty big as well in New Zealand, heavy basketball
Yeah,
influence.
yeah.
But yeah, like a little bit of everything. The two shoes that stand out for me were, like early Charles Barkley shoes, shoes like Air Flights, Air Flight 89s. They were pretty big as well for a lot of people. And then, the Jordans from sort of like 4 onwards, massively popular as well. But and then obviously the cons I was talking about as well.
Love that, love that. Where do you think that sort of that love for shoes actually came from? Was it something that was born out of your love for the sport of basketball, or was it something that like did you have family members that really like shoes? Where did you think it came from?
Yeah, it's definitely from playing basketball. Like when I was a kid, I used to play ball. When I was at high school, I used to play for the men's senior team. When I went to uni, I played at uni. I never played like hyper competitively, but was always into playing ball. And so having nice shoes to ball out in and feel confidence in and be able to perform in was probably where a lot of that love came from. And even just like having some good basketball shoes to shoot around by myself in was always important. So yeah, looking good and feeling good whilst playing ball, that's probably where a lot of the passion for shoes sort of emanates from.
Vibes. I wanted to ask you about unholy grails. I don't know if it's a term that you're aware of or you've heard of.
Oh yeah.
When I say unholy grail, what do you think? What do you think I'm getting at?
Like what you said, unholy grails.
Unholy grails.
I don't know, was it like a shoe that's a grail that you don't like maybe or something like that?
No. You're going in a different direction. Let me take you down this dark road. So, an unholy grail is an off-brand shoe. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
Right, an off-brand shoe, maybe the type that you might see, or you used to be able to see in Sports Direct. They got a load of Yeezys in there now, but
Yeah.
like I'm talking about the kind that you might you might refer to as an Everlast or a Trax.
Or like a Lonsdale or something.
Lonsdale, perfect.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get me. Dunlop, you get me. Any tire manufacturer that you can think of, those types of companies. Slazenger,
yeah,
Hi-Tech,
Slazenger,
right?
yeah.
Did you ever have to dabble in the dark arts, Broski?
Well, like as a kid or as a collector?
In life.
Well, I have a story about this kind of topic. So remember I told you I was really into the Reebok pumps.
Massive.
That was like my first love next to the Aero Jams. And I always wanted a pair, but we could never really afford them, or, at least according to my dad, never justify spending all that money on them.
Fair enough, yeah.
And so I remember we went to a place called Kmart in New Zealand, which is kind of like a bit of a discount type superstore where you can buy anything and everything, but they really do well for knockoffs. And so we got a pair of knockoff Reebok pumps called the Sports 2000s. Sports 2000, and they had a basketball on the tongue. They had the whole high top aesthetic. And so what I actually did is I took the Sports 2000s and I sort of drew on the Reebok logo in pen to kind of bring them up to a presentable standard. I wore them to school, and one of my mates said, "Bro, what's going on with your shoes, man? Like you've drawn all over them." And I was like so confident. I said, "Nah, bro, this is the latest limited edition Reebok. They've actually made the logo to make it look like someone's actually drawn it on, but it's not drawn on." So, so that was an early custom from myself, the Sports 2000 Reebok unofficial collab.
Yeah, we're calling that a custom, not the other.
Yeah. So I have dabbled in that genre per se, but it wasn't like voluntarily.
I respect it. I'm similar in the sense that, definitely there was no budget for kicks. It's just got what you got, man. But yeah, I'm glad to see you made the best of a bad situation, because I've been in that boat before where you get a shoe and it's basically like they followed the same silhouette. They've obviously got the patterns from somewhere. They follow the same silhouette, but it's got none of the signage. It's got the shoe, but no signage. And what we need is the signage. That's what gets you the ratings.
That's
you get me? Like, so you're trying to find a way to get that signage on there. I knew a guy I used to work with. He had Air Max ones with no Air Max or one on them. And I'm like, bro, in this day and age, man. Anyway, man, we live and we learn, broski, man. Look where we are now. Look at the wall behind him, people. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. No drawing on silhouettes anymore, man. We done that. We done with that life.
We made it.
Man? Now we're going to shift on over to a part of the interview I refer to as the EST of KIC. And when I say EST, I'm talking about the oldest, the newest, the rarest, the best. We're talking about your modern day collection.
Yeah.
So in your current collection, Jordan, what is your oldest shoe?
Yeah, I don't have them in the room, but I have.
That's fine.
I have a few OGs. I have some original wide infrared 6s from '91 with the box and everything. They're upstairs in the loft. They need
still
to be
holding together.
Nah, they need to be resold. I actually wanted to start the entire resoling process myself. And so I disassembled them and took them apart. And so I've just got the uppers and got the outsoles, just need a donor midsole. And I did actually buy a donor midsole, but they ended up being reps. So I was kind of I was in this real conundrum, bro, this real man, I've got it, but do I use it? I've got it. Do I use it? Can I really?
Wow, that is such a deep, such a question. That's inception right there, because literally, if I use a donor midsole from a rep of a real shoe, on my real shoe,
on an original,
does it then change the sanctity of that original shoe?
Well, I thought it did, to be honest.
I think I'm with you, bro. I don't think I could do that.
Materially and aesthetically, there wouldn't really have been much for anyone to go off, but it would just be me that would know. So it's like if you have an original, if you have a car, right? Mm-hmm. And it's an original car and you want to keep all the parts original, you can't go chucking part from a different car in there, even if it fits. So that was my thinking. Plus, getting another donor midsole wouldn't be too costly. So I ended up, I wasn't pleased that I got the fakes in the first place. So I ended up sending them back to the seller, getting a refund. And then that project ended up getting shelved. So I haven't come back to that. But yeah, that's my oldest pair, the 91s. I've got a few pairs of original 12s from 98. That was my first ever Jordan, or 97, I think it was, when the 12s came out. So I have a couple of OG 12s, some playoffs, and a pair of Obsidians, the blue pair. But yeah, so those are some of my oldest shoes. Nothing crazy, nothing from the 80s, but yeah, some 91s, a couple of 98s.
The reason why I vibe with that is because growing up in the UK, obviously, basketball wasn't super popular. So by the time we sort of clocked what was really going on in terms of sneaker culture and Jordan and stuff like that, we had got to the point of retros. We had missed, or I speak for myself, I'd missed the opportunity of buying any sort of original. So hearing somebody that was actually tapped in at that time, and it was obviously because of your upbringing and the fact that you love basketball, and for that reason, like, so it made a lot of sense. But from our perspective in the UK, like, especially speaking for myself, man, my first Jordan was actually it was a Son of Mars. It was one that I got from, I think I got it from Foot Locker, and I didn't realize, I thought it was a proper Jordan. I didn't even realize that it wasn't like a legit, or I mean, it's a legit Jordan, but it's not a proper, it's not a numbered silhouette. And then after going through that, because I really still like the shoe, but after going through that and realizing it weren't the one, then I ended up going for an 11 and getting 11. I still have those, and then I realized quite quickly after sort of dabbling in the real sort of retros that every single one of them was uncomfortable. Spend more time on my shelf than on my foot, so it's one of them ones I've got to kind of roll with it, man. But shifting gears from the oldest, talk to me about the newest shoe that you've got in.
Okay, so I've got I've had a couple come in this week,
Fresh.
I've had a couple come in this week. So I got the Kobe's here.
I got the
Kobe's,
the Protos,
the
Elite Protos.
I've got the Halos here, and I can actually, I've got another pair of Kobe 9s from 2014, so you can kind of compare.
Oh, okay.
So this is an ID version from 2014 that you could only make on the website for a really limited time. They got the golden swoosh, the multicolored fly net. They got the vault.
Yeah, the fly net's flying, bro.
The vault net splatter. So that's kind of them together. So you can see they did a pretty good job on the retro.
Yeah, they did all right, man. I like the Halo colorway. It's just, I saw your video in it and I completely agree, bro. You can't wear that shoe in England. You just can't wear that, especially at this time of the year. That shoe just literally needs to get. It's either you wear it to play basketball indoors, or I'm probably on your own, because if somebody steps on that shoe, it's done as well because of the fly. But that shoe is fire. It is literally Halo's a good word for that shoe, because it's literally like angelic. Like you can't touch it. You literally can't touch it, but it's sick shoe.
Yeah, no, they're beauties. So they came in, and then I've got another pair of Kobe 9s here. These are just to compare them. This is actually a custom pair, because this was at one point the real high top Kobe, you might remember. When you had the real high top. So I actually had
They were super high.
Yeah,
they were crazy.
They're a bit crazy, man. So I actually had these. I sent these to America to a guy that was at the time doing the custom chopping. So he chopped them up and sewed them back together. So they're all wearable, and they're not as good performance-wise as the original Kobe 9s, but I thought I'd share those because you can compare them. And then I got these. These came in today, the Verdes.
Wow, picked up the Verdes.
Yeah, got the Verdes in. So I'm actually just doing a YouTube video on these, reviewing them right now. Actually, I was in the midst of editing it when we. How did you
cop the Verdes?
Yeah,
super limited. Like, a lot of people were disappointed to not cop, but how did you get them?
Yeah, so I went. I didn't cop them for retail, that's for sure. But I actually I copped them off of StockX before they released, and I got them. And I got them cheaper than what they're going for now. So I paid like $270.
That's
on
great.
StockX.
270 is fantastic.
After fees, it was just a little under £300. And now the lowest ask I think is about 370 on StockX. So it's more like £400. So it was funny. Like the night before they released, I was on StockX having a look. I just wanted to get an idea for what they were potentially going to go for after the release date, and there was a pair there for like 270 was the ask, and I was like, do you know what, that seems like it's pretty reasonable. I hit, I'll take them, checked out, and then I was just waiting for the seller to inevitably cancel to repost them and try and get more money, but the seller came through and they're in.
I respect it.
And they're wild. These are wild, crazy shoe. Stand by for the review, but that's the other latest pickup. Those are the two that came in this week, the Kobe's and the Verdes.
Man, we love that, man. We love that, man. The Verde's definitely an interesting shoe to me, man. It's not my particular aesthetic. I feel like from the videos that I've seen that some people are gonna shave. Some people are gonna shave their Verdes.
Oh yeah, some
people are gonna like reduce the fuzz on it.
I did that with these ones.
Do
you remember these ones?
I do remember those. Yeah, they were nuts, bro. They were crazy.
These are crazy. But they look cool. And I kept the little mullet on the back there. So it's got the little New Zealand mullet.
A little party at the back, man.
They're pretty cool.
No, that's cool, man. We like that. We like that. Cool. So that is very, very interesting, man. We've got the Verdes. We've got the Kobe 9s as well. What would you say is your rarest pair?
So I mean, you can see these. I've got the bins. So these are pretty cool. The old school collectors out there will recognize these. These are legitimately rare because, I mean, still got the lace bag attached. This is a pair that I just haven't been able to bring myself to wear. I have tried them on and I just haven't taken the bag out, but they come with these, like the wooden shoe trees. If you guys are familiar with the bin series, you'll know all about these. And these are numbered actually. So this is numbered. You might be able to see 2,133 pairs.
Respect it.
So that's a legit numbered pair. That's quite rare.
Crazy.
I have another pair here. These are the NERD Dunks from 2004.
Yeah, very sick.
Very cool pair. And I like this shoe because I'm a legit fan of Pharrell and NERD and Shay and Chad Hugo, like In Search. Like their music in around that early 2000s period is very memorable to me because me and a few of my mates were really into their music. I mean, Neptunes at the time were producing bangers for everybody.
Everyone.
So Pharrell, Neptunes, NERD, bro, crazy. It's a pretty basic shoe. You've just got like the brain on the tongue, but this is another numbered shoe. I don't know if I can show you there, but these are 1,500 pairs or something.
That's sick, man.
Yeah, 15. They're numbered. I'll get the other shoe so I can show you the number. Actually 1,050.
Wow.
Yeah, 1,050. So actually rarer than I remember. And these are also dead stock. I'm a little bit ashamed to say, I am an advocate for wearing your kicks, but I do have a few pairs that I'm just like, every time I go to wear them,
I get it, bro.
I'm like, I can't do it. Bro,
and the flex is so strong. Like you literally have to, but because I'm very, very similar. Like I don't have any kind of heat like that. But sometimes I think about whether it's an event or if I'm just walking out my house and I'm like, bro, like this is such a strong flex. Like, do I really need to be like this far forward? On a Wednesday. Like, let's
I'm just going to Waitrose,
I'm saying, let's calm down a bit. Like, you get me, man. But I do get that. It's so interesting as well. Like, as sneakerheads, we love these shoes. And to be honest, I don't have an issue with people that have shoes that they wear infrequently because obviously of how rare they are or how delicate some shoes can be over time. But in a perfect world, we would wear our shoes, man. But sometimes even for me, when I don't profess to have like a massive collection or any sort of real deeper heat, like even for me, like even like something like these or even the Wave Runners now, obviously after what's happened, these are only ever going to go up in value. And I'm like, do I really want to wear them today? Do I need to wear them? Especially autumn and winter. Sometimes you're really looking at things differently, man. But
Yeah.
that's why you got the beaters for, so we move.
Yeah, exactly.
We move. Okay, if I was to ask you, right, and this is you make the criteria, right? If I'm asking you what the greatest pair of shoes in your collection is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that is?
The greatest?
The greatest.
Oh man, it's a tricky one, man, because like my favorite sneaker of all time is like the Jordan 3 white cement. That's like that's the shoe for me, you know, like if you get rid of all of them and money isn't we're not talking about value, we're not talking about sentimentality, we're just talking about like what's your favorite shoe, the best shoe. It's the Jordan 3 white cement to me. That's like the shoe. And then it's like the Jordan 11 Concord. But if we
Sick shoe.
both the shoes that mean a lot to me. But if I'm thinking about like in my collection, what's the shoe that I think is the greatest, or what gives me the most sort of like joy when I hold it? It's probably these, man. The Yeezy 2s, man, the Plats.
Oof.
This is a pair that like when I
love that shoe, bro.
yeah, like when I
Oh man.
when this was like my first big grail. Like when I
Yeah.
got these in a trade deal, and I traded some pretty big bangers for them. But when I got them, I was like, man, I've made it. You know,
Nah, you've done it.
I've made it to the next level. And then I actually ended up getting the Solars and the Red Octobers. I'd completed the pack at one point. I sold off the Solars and the Red Octobers in 2019 because my missus and I were trying to buy a house. But I kept to this pair because out of all the three, this is my favorite colorway. And I've taken these around the world with me. You know, I've worn them a whole bunch. They're still holding up. You can see the bubble is starting to get a little bit cloudy, but you can still see through it. There's a tiny bit of separation, but they're still wearable. So this is like probably
They look good.
They look good, man. And I think this is Kanye's like best.
Bro, that was him. Literally, that is him at his peak, man. The Yeezy 2 is my girl shoe. That is my number one.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the Yeezy 2. Shout out to Moses PSD. We saw him at Kicks
Oh, yeah.
He was wearing. He was in the Blinks. He was in the Yeezy ones, and the way he rocks them makes them look good. But I always felt felt they looked. When I saw them originally, I always felt they looked a little bit bulky, but the way he wears them makes them look really, really cool. I felt just that sleeker silhouette.
Yeah. Not so high, not so chunky.
Just a little bit sleeker. It hit on every single level. Yeah. And I just think, I think the shoe was Kanye at his peak. It's interesting because that's Kanye with literally almost, I was gonna say literally, but almost no drama, bro. Just enjoying music, enjoying life, creating, bro. And then what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of people would probably agree that era for Ye, sort of like 2005 to 2012, 14. Maybe that decade, 2005 to 2015, bro was on fire.
Flames.
Like musically, fashion, he was in great shape. He was making all sorts of different clothes look good. He was ripping it up with the design. And then maybe once he started getting a little bit comfy at Adidas, maybe you can point to that 2015 to now era as being the kind of less favorable, shall we say?
Less favorable
era.
Less favorable is generous, but I'm a Kanye fan. I look at him almost like a brother, almost like a family member that you make excuses for them because of their geniuses. Like, mate, he's an absolutely annoying person, but look at these shoes though. Look at these shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're almost making excuses for him, but I'm a big fan. I have been a big fan for a long time, man. And you know what? Like, I don't know if his story's done, bro. I feel like there's something in there, bro. He's wily as well, bro. I feel like he's one of them guys that just keeps on going. So yeah, I definitely think in terms of his creativity, I feel like there's an arc in there. I feel like something's coming. And I think when people feel like he's down and out, he's the type of person to sort of rock up and do something crazy. And I'm not talking the those socks that had come out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's not the level we're talking about. Not those and those wet t-shirts. No, it's okay. That's not his legacy. But yeah, bro, like you kind of alluded something that I really, really find interesting, man. Those bop to the shops, those shoes that we have at our front doors, those really, really important shoes, man. Someone saying Beaters Row, broski. Like those guys there are really, really important. Talk to me about the shoes that are at your front door.
Yeah, I mean, bro, there's a whole bunch at the moment. It's quite funny because in my neighborhood, in my ends, I generally tend to be known as the guy that desperately needs new shoes because I'm always wearing the same old shoes out when I'm walking the dogs or pop into the shop. So when I bump into people in the street and it's like, the neighbor from down the road, they've got their dogs, I've got my dogs, and we're chatting. Like I sometimes see them looking down like, bro, those are Beats. Like, what the heck? And it's because I've got the same 2 or 3 shoes just on rinse and repeat. So I've got some Nike P6000s. I've been like mercilessly smashing for a good year now. I've got some Asics Gel Kayano 14s that I've been rinsing. I've gone through some Salomon XT4s. I've been destroying those. I've got a couple of pairs of Jordan 1 lows by the door, the Year of the Dragons. And then I've got a pair of the Atmosphere Greys down by the door. I've got foam runners down there. I've got the UGG shoes I was telling you about before. I've got Addy Foam Superstars. I've got OG Sambas down there. In fact, I've got just as many shoes. That's what I'm telling you. When I come home, sometimes it's like, man, what the heck's behind the door? And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's a massive pile of shoes. And then I've got like golf shoes as well. I've got a couple of pairs of golf shoes down there because I play a bit of golf. So yeah, bro, like the irony about me is that in my neighborhood, I'm the guy that most people tend to associate with having the worst footwear imaginable. And then when I tell them, or people say, what do you do? I say, oh yeah, I sometimes make content. They're like, what about? And I'm, shoes. And they don't believe me. They look at my shoes. They're like, nah, man.
They're like, yeah, what shoes, broski?
But I laugh.
No, we like that, man. I mean, this is completely off topic, but do you find that, like, because obviously watching your content, I feel like I get an understanding of your comedy, right? Like, do you feel like your comedy sort of the English people, do you feel like they get it? You feel like they vibe with it?
I think so, yeah. I think so because my dad's Scottish, right? So I grew up with like Scottish humor. I grew up watching the BBC and watching Only Fools and Horses or Mrs. Buckets or
Mrs. Bouquet.
Mrs. Bouquet. Yeah, you remember that, man?
I remember it, bro. I remember it. My mum loved her, bro.
Yeah, she was awesome. Like that kind of comedy is really good. So, and in New Zealand, there's a type of Maori humor which is quite sarcastic, which is quite dry, which is quite similar, in terms of its comedic appeal. So having a bit of Scottish influence and having a bit of Maori kind of plays well to a certain type of audience. So
those are 2 amazing cultures as well. Like shout out because I go to Scotland like every couple of years. I have some family over there. And yeah, they're just like amazing people. They're just like so down to earth and so hospitable and stuff. Like, and I feel maybe the fact that it's like it's always raining and wet just makes people just warmer inside as opposed to outside. Again, it doesn't work the same in England, but anyway. But like especially in London. But growing up in London, I could say that for a fact. But as I said, growing up like watching like New Zealand humor and like comedy from that part of the world. And then I always found it like really, really impressive for myself that I could really hear the difference between the accents as well. And I was like, no, I can really tell. And when I started diving into sort of like, as I said, Flight of the Conchords and that sort of stuff, I started really hearing it, man. And to be honest, shout out to Australia as well, man. There's a lot of comedy from that area as well that I really vibe with as well, man. It's really, really cool, man. I wanted to ask you that because ultimately, like touching on your content and sort of talking about sort of what you've been doing, I really feel like it's your skits that has really like blew up, that just took it to another level entirely, bro. Because you are literally, sometimes I watch your skits and you're literally like, you're in my brain. It's like you're saying the thing that everybody's trying to say, but you're saying it in such a simple, clean and witty way. And I'm like, talk to me about your process, bro. Talk to me about how you come up with these skits and how these things work, and then ultimately how you piece them together and put them out.
Yeah, it's there's nothing overly technical about it, really. Like if I have an idea, I'll like write it down, I'll like chuck it in my notes or something, and then that idea can sometimes beget another idea. And I just try to think about like funny situations or scenarios that most people can relate to, whether it's like buying shoes or wearing shoes or deciding what shoes to wear, or engaging with different types of personalities in the sneaker culture, or highlighting hypocrisies, all these types of things. Like there's no shortage of material to draw on. You just have to kind
Absolutely.
of, and when I look on social media or when I'm consuming sneaker content, part of me is kind of looking at what other people are doing and how other people are behaving, to sort of pick out aspects of that content that I can, regurgitate in a way
In your
that,
own way, yeah.
yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So there's nothing too technical. It's a slightly different approach to the long form content on like YouTube, because obviously I'm doing both. So it's a bit harder to make like a really long skits that people want to watch on YouTube.
Yeah,
So it's different. It's different types of content. But yeah, as it relates to the skits and the funny videos, yeah, I just like to think about funny situations that are relatable, that people can kind of relate to, and then just try and deliver it in a funny way. But I don't try to like overthink it. You can sometimes be influenced or inspired by other people a little bit too much, where you kind of lose your own voice a little bit. So I always just try and think like, don't try and be funny like that person, or don't try and use that joke. Just deliver it in your own way,
Yeah.
and be authentic, and people will vibe with that. So
I like that.
yeah,
I
man.
like
So
that. That's some good advice.
yeah, and I don't really take too long like filming it. Like in fact, you can tell with the bulk of my skits, because my hair's a mess, or like my shirt's ripped, or I've got a stain on my top. Like I'll get an idea and I'll be like, okay, let me film this, and then I'll like, okay, boom, okay, boom, okay, boom, and then I'll edit it to see if it works. And then more often than not, I've just kind of done a practice run and then thought, oh, I'll just upload it. Cool, done, boom.
Done.
That's kind of, so I don't really mess around with too many like takes or stress about it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's a fun process anyway.
I like that, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite skit that you've done? I'll throw something out that I really enjoyed. I've always enjoyed these, the meetings at Nike.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The meetings at night
Boss.
are literally. Do you know what, Jordan, bro? I'm not even gonna be. I don't even know if someone's done this. If someone's not done this, they should do it. We need literally a series of just every single reel, every single TikTok, every single video of the meetings at night, where they just regurgitate something they've already done, and you go, that's amazing. Like all of that jam, bro. That is sick to me. That is perfect. That is my jam. I love those ones. But do you have a favorite in terms of like the different genres that you do?
No, I think like my favorite ones are like the I do like a dad character, and then his son.
Bro.
Yeah, like
the hypocrisy, bro. The hypocrisy.
Yeah.
That's the ones. Those are sick as well.
Yeah. Like the dad's like, why didn't you buy these? And the kid's like, nah, those are rubbish. I hate those. And then like 2 years later, the kid's like, oh, I want those. And the dad's like, oh, what's going on? Like, where are we? What's happening here?
You love it.
Yeah, it just kind of. I think those types of skits kind of highlight how in flux the whole trend landscape is, and how things cycle back all the time, and something that's completely off one day is on the next. And I think people watch those skits and they're like, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing there. But those are some of my favorite ones, the dad and the son. They're pretty funny.
That's very, very sick. That's very, very sick. In terms of your content and in your, and when I say content, I mean your content creation journey. How did you start? Where did you get the inspiration to say, I think I've got something here I can I can share my passion, I can grow an audience, I can potentially just mess around, and if something happens, something happens. What was your mindset behind starting your content journey?
It started like ages ago, maybe like 10 years ago on IG when I was in the gym. I used to work full time in a gym as a personal trainer. And I was on the wrong track with my content. This was long before TikTok and stuff. I was doing IG uploads every day, sharing my collection, on foot shots, outfits, that type of stuff. And I was doing gym content alongside it. So I'd be like boxing. I'd upload a video of me boxing, doing some handstands, Olympic lifting, squatting heavy weights. Not top off, but flexing my muscles and stuff like that. So I was kind of doing that type of content, and I wasn't really getting anywhere with it because I wasn't really sharing the part of my personality that people would have been able to relate to or connect with. So I was, ironically enough, in the start of my content creation journey, like on the completely wrong path. It took TikTok and the pandemic to be at home with my sneakers and this new platform, TikTok, to realize that, hey, I've got a passion for sneakers. Let me just start sharing my collection, start talking about shoes, start talking about the history. And then I started doing these skits and people started reacting to them, and my account started sort of blowing up, and I started getting all this attention, and people like pages that I'd been following for a long time were like reposting my content. I was like, what the heck's going on? This is crazy. And from there, it's become a part-time job now. Like I don't do it full-time. I have other jobs that I do, but it's a legit part of my weekly timetable is putting time aside to make sneaker content, whether it's short form or long form. And yeah, it's a job now. So it's gone from being something I didn't even know how to do to now being something that is a big part of my life. So
I like
yeah,
that.
it's huge.
Like you mentioned that you have other jobs. Like what other things do you do in terms of like your jobs, or do you have like businesses, or what other things do you do?
Yeah, so I have like a personal training business. So I still do PT. I'm more of a like do as I say, not do as I do type PT these days.
You're like
So
Mick in the
yeah,
in the Rocky films.
yeah. Just like, yeah, don't worry about what I'm doing. Just you do that. Yeah. Don't worry about what I'm eating. Just don't you eat this type thing. Yeah. So yeah, I still do PT. I do corporate PT. I have a couple of corporate clients that I work with and just run like group
Respect.
classes and stuff like that. I have a few private clients that I work with. A lot of them are like older people that just want to keep moving and stay fit. It's not, I'm not, training any hardcore athletes like that, although they'd probably take issue with that characterization. They're all athletes in their own way. But apart from doing PT, I also work with the New Zealand government. So I teach Te Reo Māori, which is the Māori language of New Zealand. I teach that.
Amazing.
I teach that online to different New Zealand embassies around the world. I work with the New Zealand High Commission in London, some other divisions of the whole Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, like the Department of Internal Affairs. So I do that as well, and then the content creation just kind of fills out the rest of the week, really. So I don't work like, I'm not going crazy with the hours. Everything that I do, I love doing.
Amazing.
And I'm really happy and privileged to be in that type of a position, living in London, man. Like, I love it here.
That's sick. That's so sick, man. I feel like just having that varied approach to life in your work, like it helps in keeping things fresh as well. You don't get bogged down.
Yeah.
Like you don't get bogged down because sometimes, obviously, and I feel like this is the reason why I do content is because I see it as a creative release.
Yep.
It's an opportunity for me to do something that I'm really passionate about and really enjoy. But have you ever found it difficult to sort of like? Has there ever come a time, let's say, where you were chasing a particular milestone or trying to break through, and you weren't potentially doing as well as you are now? What did you do in order for you to sort of get over that hump, whether it be sort of emotionally? We obviously refer to mental health and wellness and stuff like that. What did you do to get over that hump and sort of keep pushing forward?
Yeah. So I just prioritized routine and just staying just staying fixed on a good positive routine in order to like achieve the outcomes I was looking for. So the time that you're describing reminds me of when I was trying to break through into YouTube. So I was trying to get monetized on YouTube, and I had this sort of inflated ego, I want to say, off the back of my TikTok success. So having like 500,000 followers on TikTok, I thought I'd be able to translate that success automatically over onto YouTube. But that wasn't the case. It actually took me quite a long time of just diligently making content, uploading it, not getting views, getting, like some good comments, some bad comments, and being deflated that I wasn't getting the same type of returns as I was getting on TikTok, all the while questioning, should I even do this? What am I up to? I had to buy a computer, I had to buy a camera in order to, like get myself up to the level I wanted to get to, but I didn't know how to operate any of this equipment. So not only was I venturing into a completely new, landscape, but I was equipped with tools I didn't know how to use.
Wow.
And that period was like my missus was like, bro, like, well, she didn't call me bro, but babes, are you okay? And I just remember being sat there like, I've got to make a YouTube video. I don't know how to turn this computer on. I don't know how to transfer the files over to the camera. I don't know how to set up the microphone, but I have to do it. And so I just stayed diligent on so step one was to like just relax, breathe it in, focus on one task at a time, and just tick off those small little tasks one by one, focus on the end results and see it through. And that approach over time translated into the realization of my goal, which was getting monetized on YouTube, having a successful channel, and then just figuring it out.
Sick.
Yeah, man.
Sick, man. And I can attest to that, man. I started my sort of content creation journey around the time of lockdown, so around 2021. So I haven't been doing content as long as you have. But yeah, I realized quite quickly that YouTube was a cruel beast. It was a cruel beast.
Yeah.
And like even to now, like I was able to get monetized like I think like a couple of years ago, but even to now, like there's a little bit of nerves that every time I put up a video up, it's like, is it gonna do something? Is it not gonna do something? And the advice you gave is really, really important. Like just sort of like taking a breather, relax, realizing this is what we enjoy doing. This is the reason why I asked the question, because so many content creators I speak to like have this anxiety about creating content because of the outcome of the content, but it should the joy should come from the actual creation of the content, as opposed to whether there's a resonation or people resonate with it in the culture. That shouldn't be the payoff. But it's so hard as a human to not want that validation when you've put your heart and soul into something. And I'm similar to yourself, man. Like I had a regular Windows computer at the beginning of this, and I worked out very quickly that in order for you to transfer these heavy files and all of this jazz, it's not gonna happen, G. Especially not on my Windows computer, which was about 10 years old at the time. So I needed to get like a Mac or something like that, and I had to learn how to use a Mac in order to create these videos, and then obviously how to transfer things from my phone and blah blah blah. Then getting a camera, blah blah blah. So yeah, I feel like that journey has been really, really good in that sense, because you had a focus, and the focus helps you to learn these things because they were important for you to be able to hit that goal as well. So that was really, really cool, man. I can really understand where you're coming from with that. I don't want to embarrass you, but like I had a quick look at your numbers before we did this, like, and bro, they're kind of nuts. They're pretty high up there. Like I'm saying, like, I mean, you've got a mere 92K on IG. I think 91,000 and so a few pennies. So I mean, I know that's quite embarrassing for you, but we'll move on. We've got a mere 150K on YouTube as well, which, as I said earlier, YouTube is a cruel beast. YouTube is a sink or swim sort of thing. You've got to put the work in, and that is absolutely amazing. 150K is not a joke in any way, shape or form. Turn up tomorrow and get 100 subscribers on with nothing backing you. Just do it. See if it happens, and then come holler at me. 100 on YouTube is an achievement, right? Not to talk of well over 500,000 on TikTok, man. Any advice for content creators out there, things that you've ever been told, or things that you've used from other areas that you think are really, really important that we should be aware of?
Yeah. Number one is just...
Thank you for listening to this episode of Kicks Chronicles. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, rate, review, and all that good stuff. And remember, full video version is available on YouTube, audio versions available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.